Hi, how are you today? This is JilliBling, and I have a project to share, and it is something new for me. It's a slimline card. What do you think? Isn't that pretty? And an envelope. And they sell the envelopes in the catalog, but I wanted to try to make some just using regular paper. At first I tried making it using like photocopy paper, and it was just a little bit too thin, so I made it out of Whisper White cardstock. But I love the way this card came out, so I'd like to make this today, and I'll do a video right afterwards showing how to make the envelope, but I wanted to break it up into two groups, because at first I was looking all over the internet trying to find where and how to make the envelope, and I wasn't so interested in what card they were doing. So I'm going to try to keep them separate. So I want to make something similar to this. So, and I also made this one. Isn't that just beautiful and so fresh? I love that. And oh, I love this ribbon. It's very pretty. This one has rhinestones on it. This one I try to keep a little bit easy. No rhinestones and just a hint of coloring. This one I did more coloring and a lot more coloring on the inside. So I'd like to do another one with just a little bit of coloring. And as you notice, it's both using Blushing Bride as the base paper. This one has the frame using Blushing Bride. This one has a frame of white. So I'd like to do one with a frame of Daffodil Delight. And there's a reason that I'm doing the 3 different color frames. I'll show you here in just a minute. So I have all of this. I want to use this ribbon. I want to use pearls on this one. Here are pieces already cut out, and I'll show you why I did that. This is the die that cuts this big piece right here is the frame, and it cuts out all these other little pieces. Then in the bundle there's 2 different edge pieces, and I'll show you what that's for. That's for the envelope. That's for this piece right here. I think it's this one that has the stitching on it. And then just trim the envelope, but I'll do that in the separate video. Okay. So there's that. Here's the pieces for the card. And like I said, the video, and I have my little template, that will be the next video. So hopefully that means that I could keep this one short. Okay, so here's base paper. I'll have all the paper cut sizes on my blog, and my blog is JilliBling.com. So this is for the words, and I want to do these words right here and embossed, and we'll get into all these papers in just a minute. But since I have this here, let's do that in Versamark. You are one of a kind. Now put that in powder, white embossing powder. Oops, not enough. That's better. Maybe a little bit more on the of. Okay. Okay, so won't take long. I'll just let that cool a bit. So here are the papers, and these two white papers are just a little bit smaller than these three colored papers. One of them's for the inside. This piece is going to hold all these little bits and pieces, because I could put it right onto the card and get them into place, but then when it comes to stamping these flowers on it, I know that I'd get flowers off to the side. So this, it just works out really handy, and I'll show you how all that works in just a minute. So these three pieces are bigger than what they need to be for the die, and I'm going to cut each one of them. So the Blushing Bride, run it through. Take the same die, run it through. And finally, Whisper White, run it through. So now I have 3 frames, because this one, they each create a frame. And I also have all these little bits and pieces. So you're like, well, that's overkill, that's a lot. But when you look at the card, there's 3 colors on it. There's white, daffodil, Blushing Bride. The next one, I used some of the other pieces for Blushing Bride in white and daffodil. And now I have just enough pieces remain to make today's project. So when you run through these 3, you have enough to make 3 cards. And if you have this bundle, you'll go, ah, I get it. Once we start putting it together, it'll be just a little bit more clear. It's not high science. It's you'll see. Okay, so here's the card base. So let me just fold that in half. And then we'll start doing that little puzzle. Not that it's hard. And in a strange way, and I like puzzles, it's not hard at all. There's something about it that I was just kind of, maybe I just hadn't been stamping in a while, but it was just fine with me. Okay, we'll put one white in. We'll decorate that in a minute. And we'll cut apart the little words so that it's similar to these right here. We'll do that in a minute. So on this piece, and here's this frame, and they are just the same size. I think this is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. And I had my papers cut to 8 1/2 by 3 1/2. But I'll have all that listed on my blog. Okay, so just a little something to hold it down. Oh, I should use my other adhesive. That's okay. Just to hold this in place. But I know eventually I'm going to want glue around the edges, so I might as well just put that on right now. Because the other two, I put it on the tape runner, and then I lifted up each of the edges to put this on. You know, after you've done it a few times, you get a little bit smart. Okay, and it doesn't matter which way. So, and you know, every time I've done this, I've had to trim off a little bit of the white underneath, and I'm okay with that. Okay, so there it is. It is on there, and I can see over here I'm going to have to trim a little bit. See right there? There's a little bit of white, but that's okay. It's still worth it to have it under here. This side is clean as can be, and there's still tape runner in here, and the glue is holding the frame down really well. Okay, so this part, in a weird way, it's kind of fun. So most of these pieces, oh, and this little one, we're going to need that. That will go. You're like, well, it's already white, but it's nice to have it the same height. So all these little pieces, they just fit right into there. First I thought, oh, I'll have this all done, but I just don't want you to be intimidated by, cut 3 different colors. have 3 different frames. Right now I'm just working with the pieces that I know are very individual. They're not like all these are all the same size. They just fit right in. Kind of fun. I think most of these are the same. This one is different. Okay, oh, here's one. One more that's different. Because it has that flat spot on it. That goes right up here. Then we're going to stamp on this. It's kind of lifting. I'll put glue under it. Okay, so the rest of them are the same size. So I'm just going to do, let me see what these patterns are. So the Blushing Bride is the same as a daffodil. So I'll skip one, put that one there, and daffodil, daffodil, white, bride. Just want it to be a little bit random. Just like, oop, that one's smaller. That one goes there. So just have them like get some kind of non-pattern. And you know in the end I don't know that it matters. So let's just put these here. That looks good. So now we have one with a pink or white frame, yellow frame, pink frame, and they all look good. Okay. And there's another die in this set. I can't wait to play with that. That one will be fun too. And the little piece that I'm using is an envelope liner. That could be used for a fancy edge on a card too. Just came back from lunch with the girls. That's always fun. We went to Pieology today. Everyone got to make their own pizza. It's funny, a few of the girls are like, pizza, I've had too much, or I'm not a fan of it, or it's too much bread. Which is true, but it was good. Okay, so you're seeing how this goes together. A weird way, it's kind of fun. It's like doing a puzzle. A puzzle that's not hard. Okay. So after this, next thing is to stamp in Smoky Slate. And it's just a floral, so any floral that you have is nice. And this one happens to be one that you could color in, but I think any floral would be beautiful on here. I was trying to think, what if it was done like for a guy in different colors, like grays and blues and maybe greens. But it would have to be light enough. And then I thought, well, what should I have stamped on it? Beer? Or animals? Then Connie was working on this feather project. Remember the baby wipe technique? She did these beautiful feathers, and I thought, oh, that would be pretty here. But before you know it, we're doing a whole another something just to make the feathers. It's like, oh. So this is going to be for girls only. So let's do it just like this card, but going this direction. And notice how there's this point on all of these. I think I'm going to turn it over. Oh, and this part I need to trim it. See on there how there's white? I don't want that to be seen. It's like no matter what I do, I can't cut it exactly perfectly. That's like a 32nd of an inch difference. But this is easy enough to do. And you won't see the white. Ding. Okay. So that looks pretty well trimmed. Okay. So, let's stamp with Smoky Slate. And these are where the words are from. Slim Sayings. And this is in the mini catalog. But let's use hand petals. Oh, let's try this one this time. Because the other time I've always used that. Okay, there it is. So that's going to be in Smoky Slate. Where are the words going to go? Should they go right in the middle? Maybe off to a side? Let me see how these words are going to look. So to do the words, not that it's hard, with your snips, just cut somewhat close to the word and the letters. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. This card we're being a little artsy. Oh, you know that stamp that I just chose, the one with the big flower? I wanted to put pearls on it. If I stamp with that flower, I get only one flower. Well, two. I think I'm going to go back to the other one. And this catalog, I'd like to say, I copied it from so-and-so, but it's in the catalog. Oh, I had to show you that. You know, if ever you have a stamp set and you're not sure what to do, I'd suggest making whatever is in the catalog, because then you'll see how pretty it really is. The pictures are great, but there's nothing quite like a card in person compared to a photographed card. Okay, so here are the bits, little pieces. So, how should these go on here? If there were flowers, I kind of want to put some ribbon on too. One of a kind. You are one of a kind. Maybe they could go down that area. Yeah. Right in the middle. Ooh, right in the middle is kind of fun. Okay. So, flowers. So, you know how I took the time to put the die cut pieces on this piece of white paper? That's because when I stamp, I'm going to stamp a little bit off the edge. And if this was directly on my card base, I would be stamping and getting ink on my card base. I'll show you what I mean. So here's the card base. If I didn't have that white paper, I would have it stuck right here. I'm not going to do it, but I'll show you. Get it all inked up. You know what's going to happen. I'm going to get ink right there. That's going to look bad. So that's why a little bit of extra paper, a little bit of extra time, but it's worth it. Okay, just like that. I'm trying to keep it simple. I keep thinking, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could cut out flowers and put them on top. It's like, oh, and you know what? While I have this, let's do the inside white paper. This is such a pretty stamp. Ooh, I like it. Oh, I would, okay, I'll do the envelope later. Okay, so that's Smoky Slate. This is inside. I'll put words on that in a minute. So back to this piece, and I will attach, just like this one. It's simple, it's beautiful, just leave it as is. I'm going to put these on dimensionals. Put it right in the middle. U. Maybe. Okay, I'm just going to kind of set it there for now. R. One. It's uppercase. Does that mean I'm yelling, like if you're texting? Of a kind. Okay, this I'm gonna, so I did that and I just let them sit on here gently because I knew I was going to pull them up, because look at, that's not well lined up. So I'll move this one up a little. It's going to come over here. And then this one, I'm going to put about the same distance from the top. U. So now I'm just trying to get them all somewhat equally spaced. I'm fine if it's not perfectly spaced. Can I pull this one up? Yeah. Okay, just like that. Pretty pretty. And then that yellow ribbon. I have a bow. Right there. Glue dots. Right about here. So you could still read it, but it's kind of collaged together. Okay. And I'll put this on the base, the card base. Oh, that's really sweet. Okay, that's so pretty. Okay, rhinestones. This one I'm going to try not to color it, because this one I got crazy with the coloring. See how there's yellow? And I colored only on the white panels, and I did the leaves a little bit gray. Then I did a lot of coloring in here. Maybe I'll do more coloring on, a little coloring on the inside. Okay, rhinestones, or pearls, pearls, pearls. The other one had rhinestones. Nothing like a new package of pearls. Ooh-wee. Pearls on the big ones. Oh, I don't want to cover that up. Oh well, you know it's there. These pearls fit perfectly on this flower. Okay, and then do little pearls on these little bitties. Is that a big one? I think that's a big one. Doing more than 3 embellishments. Things a girl has to do. Oh, I should use my new little picker-upper spatula tool. This is working pretty well. Okay, those are done. One right here. Yeah, I'm going a little crazy on pearls. Done, done. This is a big one. Okay, so the outside is beautiful. So for the inside, oh, I have a word stamps. You're one of a kind, happy birthday. So that's going to be in Calypso Coral, which is what this paper is. Happy birthday. I'm going to test it first. Good. Good. And then for a little color, we'll do mostly Daffodil Delight. So, I'm going to show you something new. This is a blending pen. When you get them, it comes in a set of 3. I'll just use a new one. Set of 3. So you could go in with friends. And dual tip. Both the tips are exactly the same. And it's not just plain water in here. There's a, I was wondering if it says on the side. It is a, whatever a marker is made out of, they just put re-inkers, but it's the same liquid that's in here. So to use a blending pen, let me turn this around and I'll show you why. So when you use a blending pen, you know what, let me show you another thing first. Your pen will probably look like this, discolored. First of all, make sure there's no color on it, because a prior person who used this might have blue or brown on there, and you certainly don't want that on your fresh flowers. Then after it's cleared out, just pick up a little bit of ink, and that's how to do the blending. So any ink pad that you have, if you get a package of these blending pens, you could color and do markers all day long. So you're noticing how I did this a little bit watercolor, soft color. If you were to go in here and roll around in here, you would get your blending pen acting just like a marker. Or you can do a little drip of re-inker on here and pick it up, and then it's just like a marker. But it'll take quite a bit to get the color cleared out of your tip. But for today, I want just a little bit. And see how it's getting softer and softer? I like it when it gets soft because then I could color way out on the ends. So I'm kind of doing layered color. It's still really soft, which I like. So I'm doing all these little guys in yellow. Then you're like, okay, you can hardly tell that it's there. Then I'll go back and I'll pick up a little bit more and just add a little deeper color to these other ones that just had the really soft color. You notice how I'm just touching it a little bit? Okay. And I want to try the new one. So I'm going to clear the color out of here. And of course there is the liquid in here, which is what makes it a little bit darker, but you just want to make sure you go until there's no pigment. Okay, then you can put the lid on. So, brand new one. On the side of the pad right here, there's just a little bit of ink that's drifted right over the edge, and I'm going to pick that up. And the reason I like that is because I know it's just a little bit. And now that there's not much color on there, filling in the edges. Boy, these tips are really tiny. Another thing is, because this is water-based ink that I stamped with, if you use StazOn, then you won't run into this. But I stamped with smoky slate ink. If I went over just the line art, for instance this leaf, a little bit of that ink would kind of reactivate. You know what, I'll show you with the leaf. I'll color in the leaves with this one. I think this one, it looks like it has some orange on it. I think there was a hint of color right over here that was not Daffodil Delight. But that's okay. I'm fine with that. Okay, so I'm going to clear the color out of here. I'm done with yellow. So what I was talking about, the flower was stamped in smoky slate. So if I were to go over this a few times, where the ink is, sometimes you could kind of reactivate the ink and it would get filled in. This isn't working. I let it dry a little too long. Yeah. But sometimes if you were to go over it, say that was a navy, you would see the navy blue kind of streak through there. But I let it dry, which is fine. That's what it should do. So to get the leaves, just a little bit of color. I don't want it too dark. Just a little bit of color. But if you get these, just practice with them. And when you know what to expect, it makes it a little bit more fun. The leaves, I just want just a little bit of color. On the last one I did, I'll show you it. I'll hold it up. I really colored the leaves gray, and they look great, but it's just a different look. Are there really gray leaves? Well, for this kind of monochromatic card, yeah, sure, there's gray leaves. And I'm going to avoid coloring this one because I know I would transfer, watch this, I transfer the coral. Get the coral off of there. And as that dries, you could say, oh, that's what you're talking about by transferring the color. Okay, so see how there's just a little bit of color in there? Not too much, not all of it, not 100%. Okay, so I think I'll do just a hint of pink. So the paper is Blushing Bride. I don't know where my Blushing Bride stamp pad is. So I'm just doing really light, flirty flamingo. There's a little bit of color here. That's exactly what I want. Just a hint of color. Oh, this one's coming out pretty. It's coming out good. I'll show you. Just a hint of color. And if you went right into the stamp pad, you can make it almost as dark as like a marker. Like full on, like that. I didn't want it to be that dark. There, that's more the color I want. Oop, little dark. Well, it's pretty. Not exactly what I planned, but that's okay. And now that I know there's not much color in it, maybe I'll fill it in just a little bit. Then I go and pick up lots of color. Okay, just a hint of color. That's all I wanted to do. So before I close the pen, I'll make sure to get all the color out of there. So, oh, this one, are we done already? Okay. I was hoping it would be a little fast. There is our slim line cards. One person at the big shot of the machine, cutting all 3 of those papers, makes 3 cards. And they're beautiful. Different white border, daffodil delight border, blushing bride border. They're all pretty. Okay, that's it for this time. I will put all the products used in the paper cut sizes on my blog. My blog is JilliBling.com. I'll also put pictures of the outsides and the insides of all the cards and links to my store in case you want to get it all. Okay, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.